Good morning, Guardians. I'm Arch Burgundy, and today's top story, episode Echo Seasonal Weapon Review. I'm going to be reviewing these guns from worst to best. To be frank, I'm not a big fan of most of these. I think they lack exceptional perk pools. I wanted some of these guns to be so much better than what they are. However, I'm still going to be giving the best possible rolls, I think, for all these weapons. I just think in their relative slot or their archetype, they are not outliers. They don't stand out enough for me to want to use them in GM content or raid content. The two questions I'm going to be answering is, will these guns replace a current gun in my arsenal? Meaning, right, Wither Horde is a very sought after weapon for high-end content because it's got good damage over time and it's just a good weapon. There is a weapon in this list that can replace the Wither Horde for you, and that's kind of my example of this. Will the Stasis Auto Rifle replace something like Rufus's Fury? No. The next question I'm going to answer is, are these guns best in their archetype or their slot? We'll do that one by one. First off, they all have the intrinsic called Radiolaria Transposer, where rapid final blows cause targets to explode into a pool of radiolarian fluid. This season, we can use some artifact mods to increase these weapons' damage output. The Overcharge Armory, where weapons with Dealer's Choice, Radiolaria Transposer, Collective Purpose, and Sundering Origin traits are always active when the overcharge weapons for you when that modifier is active. You're looking for the Overcharge Weapons mod, where weapon overcharges from the season artifact are active in this activity. Kinetic weapons do increased damage when your super element matches an active surge. You have to see this modifier for that artifact mod to proc. The last one is going to be Logic Reductor, where weapons with the Radiolaria Transposer origin perk deal increased damage to Vex, extends the duration of the Radiolaria pools created by the Radiolaria Transposer. That is a lot of Radiolaria. First on the list, we're going to cover the Failed Threat. This is a Stasis Auto Rifle. It's 720 rounds per minute. This thing did not underperform or overperform, in my opinion. I think had it had better perks, it would have felt a lot better to use, but it is a rapid fire frame, so it's going to take a lot of shots to kill any enemy. All this content is in either Vanguard Strikes or the seasonal activity on Expert. If these weapons don't perform well in Vanguard Strikes, I don't think they're going to perform well in GM content or raids. So the reason why I'm not doing this in higher end content is because if it can't perform now, I don't think it's going to perform later. That's just my opinion. For this auto rifle, the first column, really we're looking at shoot to loot, threat detector, strategist. Threat detector was what I had on this roll. It's probably the best thing that you're going to get. Shoot to loot is very situational for higher end content. Having a good shoot to loot weapon. I wouldn't use an auto rifle. I'd use something like a hand cannon or a trace rifle. Strategist is a new perk that gives you class ability energy back. This is very situational. It depends on your build. If you want your class ability back more and more, like Phoenix Dive, where you're maybe getting a healing buddy, or you're getting the Helion buddy, or you're getting like Threadlings to spawn when you use Phoenix Dive, you can make use of this perk. However, it's on other weapons this season, and I don't think this is the best one to use it on. In the second column, we get Headstone, the stasis perk that most stasis guns have. Desperate Measures, this is going to be a flat damage buff on kills. If you are going Threat Detector, you could also make use of Surrounded just to get that huge damage increase while surrounded. This might make it feel better. I didn't use that roll, but honestly, this thing just didn't move the needle for me. Next on the list is going to be the Arc Hand Cannon, the Sightline Survey. This is a 180. Not a big fan of 180s. If you are, I think that the Posterity from Deep Zone Crypt is way better. It has way better rolls. You can get Volt Shot and Frenzy. You can get Rapid Hit. I just think that that's a better Volt Shot hand cannon if that's what you were trying to go for. But if you do want to use this one because you like the way it looks and the way it shoots, in the first column we have Keep Away, Enlighten Action, and Strategist. Keep Away and Enlighten Action are to help you get your reload back faster, which will help you proc Volt Shot faster. It also has Desperate Measures and Encore. Encore is actually a really good hand cannon perk, but I think the hand cannon actually has to hit harder for this to feel better. So on a 180, it doesn't really move the needle. Next up, we have the Solar Scout Rifle, the Timeworn Wayfarer. I really wanted this gun to be good. I really like the lever action fantasy. However, it's hard to justify using a lever action in PvE when regular scout rifles do the same thing but better. Like, I reload the magazine and I get all my rounds back, not just 2. These things would have to hit like a truck for me to justify using them, and unfortunately this one does not hit like a truck. In the first column, there is Heel Clip and Keep Away. This is a very unique role because this is the first solar lever action scout rifle that we're getting. And in the second column, you can get Incandescent and Precision Instrument. I say Precision Instrument, you can also get 4 times a charm in the third, but this thing just didn't do enough damage to majors. In the content I'm using this in, there is a Solar Surge active, and I believe I have a Solar Surge on my legs. It still didn't hit hard enough for me to think that this is going to be good in later content. I'm sorry for anybody who is hoping this thing would be a baller. Heel Clip is nice because you're going to get Heel Clip after a kill just reloading 2 shots, but getting that kill on anything higher than a low tier enemy is just hard to get. And as you get into harder end content, the lower end enemies are going to have more health, so it's going to take even more shots, even more reloading. I honestly just don't think it's worth it. Next on the list, we have the Void Rocket Launcher. This is a precision frame called the Faith Keeper. In the first column, we have auto loading, impulse amplifier, and field prep. I'm basically going for perks that would help me in damage rotations, because in the second column, we get explosive light, frenzy, and reverberation. Reverberation is a new perk where after you get a kill with the weapon, the next time you use it, the detonation is larger. This is still more of an ad clear thing, but I just wanted to mention it because it is unique to these weapons as of right now. If you do want to use it for ad clear, this is one of the only other Void. This is the second Void precision frame, and only like 1 of 3 or 4 Void rockets you can use. So when there's a Void Surge that's active for a boss damage rotation, you could easily make use of this with auto loading explosive light, something against the Witness, right? It's also a precision frame, so it's going to track. So you're going to hopefully hit the chest. I don't know how far of a curve it's going to give because sometimes he moves around. But having an auto-loading explosive is good for boss rotations, in my opinion. Next up, we have the Stasis Caster Sword, the Ill Omen. In the first column, you can get Relentless Strikes and Attrition Orbs. These were the 2 perks I was looking at. And in the second column, we're just using Cold Steel. Cold Steel is relative to Stasis weapons, swords specifically, obviously. The only other sword that got this that I think is useful is the Slammer. The other one is the Winter, the Dawning event sword. That one's not really that good, the Zephyr. If there was a Stasis Surge in an activity where you could use swords, I do think this is a really good weapon. You could partner it up with Attrition Orbs and Cold Steel if you want to, if it's a very long DPS phase. If not, you could just go Relentless Strikes. The caster part of this is good because it deals enough to make the target freeze. But if you don't like this sword, I would just go with the Slammer and pick up one of those rolls. Last on the list, we have the Stasis Area Denial frame. This is a brand new frame. When I talked about will this weapon be in my arsenal or replace a weapon in my arsenal, this weapon is really good for ad clear. I enjoyed using it a lot. In all the gameplay, I basically had this thing on the entire time except for when I wanted to try out the auto rifle. You basically fire this thing and shoot 5 pools of stasis all over the place, and it's just a huge AoE damage over time. The rolls that you can get on this thing are auto loading, stats for all, and lead from gold in the third. These are the top 3 in my opinion. Lead from gold would be if you want to use it in higher end content where you're getting more heavy ammo versus special ammo. Auto loading and Vorpal would be a good combo if you wanted to use it in like a GM, if you're trying to do a bunch of damage to a champion or a mini boss. However, There is one for all, demo, and reverberation in the fourth. Reverberation is good, but I don't think it's the best here. This basically just allows you to get bigger detonations when you create more radiolaria pools. Demo would be good if you're trying to do a grenade build. However, the most fun I had on this thing, where I really saw this thing ramp up, was stats for all and one for all. This thing was just a monster. I had the most fun with this. This is definitely the top tier weapon for all of these that we have right now. This definitely fills my arsenal. In terms of the rest of the weapons we covered, are they like the best in their slot, or will they replace a weapon I have in that slot? The Solar Scout Rifle, the Timeworn Wayfarer, I mean, it is one of the only solar scout rifles that you can craft with heel clip incandescent. The only other one I can think of is the Trustee, and that's a 260. It doesn't feel as good. I had already covered the Sightline Survey. I don't think that it's better than a 140 arc hand cannon, unfortunately, like Nation of the Beast, if you're trying to get that bolt shot going. Veiled Threat falls way too far behind a Rufus's Fury, because Rufus's Fury has way too many good perks in it. And the Faith Keeper is probably the best void rocket launcher you could use for a damage rotation. At least from my knowledge, I have never seen one that could do better than this one that isn't an exotic. The Ill Omen is definitely fun to use. I might have to use it more to see if it really performs better than the Slammer. But I definitely think that it'll be up there with the Slammer, given we have such little stasis swords. To cover weapons that aren't out yet that we're getting, this is just a sneak preview. There are 4 new weapons we're going to get. 2 are going to come with Act 2 and 2 are going to come with Act 3. I want to cover them now because I was looking forward to a bunch of the weapons we already got, and they kind of were lackluster. So I'm just going to cover these now and explain if I think that they're going to be lackluster when they actually get here. I think there's only 2 I care about. The new solar machine gun is a 900 rounds per minute. It is the Speleologist, or Speleologist, however you want to pronounce that. In the first column, you can get Envious, you can get Stats for All. Was really looking for Reconstruction here. There's not a solar LMG that gets Reconstruction in the game. Second column, you get Killing Tally, Incandescent, and One for All. I think Stats for All, Incandescent could be really fun here. Killing Tally, there's so many other better Killing Tally light machine guns in the game. I just don't think that this one's going to be better, especially being a 900. And then, yeah, Stats for All, One for All. If that's what you want, you know, it's there. It's always a good option. We also have a Void Trace Rifle coming called the Chronophage. It's got Shoot to Loot and Repulsor Brace. It's a Void weapon, and I think you should use it the way a Void weapon should be intended, which would be like a Repulsor Brace destabilizing rounds. But if you wanted to go Gerfalcons, you could go like Repulsor Brace and Demo. That would be a really good roll. Same thing with Trace Rifles. I don't really think they're going to replace guns that I'm going to put in that slot anyway, but if you're a big Trace Rifle guy, you have that to look forward to. These next 2 are the 2 that I'm most interested in. We are getting a Arc Pulse Rifle that is a 395 round per minute. That is a heavy burst. This will be the 3rd heavy burst legendary frame. There's a solar one in the raid. There's a strand one in trials, and now we'll have an arc one coming in the season pass. In the first column, I'm looking at Eddy Current and Enlightened Action. Eddy Current is actually really good for a arc build because it got a buff. Basically, if you're amplified, you're going to get way better reload speed, which is going to help you pop bolt shot faster. If you don't like that roll and it's not appealing to you, you can just go Enlightened Action. But in the second column, this gets Volt Shot and we get Frenzy. The damage on these has been pretty reliable. I have the solar one crafted from the raid, and I enjoy it a lot. I'm curious to see how this one performs, if it underperforms compared to the raid one, because the raid one has better stats. But overall, definitely looking forward to this one. And the last one I want to cover, which is probably the most sought after seasonal weapon in my opinion, is the solar rocket sidearm, the Aberrant Action. This thing is going to get Heel Clip and Ambitious Assassin in the first column. And in the second column, you can get incandescent, demo, reverberation if you're trying to go for more blast radius damage, and golden tricorn. The interesting role on this, most people are going to see, is heal clip and incandescent, just because that's just the most sought after solar weapon role in my opinion. But ambitious assassin is very interesting here, because if you can get a bunch of kills with this thing before reloading with a backup mag on, the most you can get in the magazine is 36. I don't really know if it's super useful to have 36 shots in the magazine, but it's something I want to try to do because it seems funny. But yeah, this is going to be the most sought after. Like I said, kind of to just recap this whole video, I was pretty disappointed in these weapons. If you like using them, don't let my opinion, deter you from wanting to use them. I just think that there's other weapons in those slots that outperform these. The grenade launcher is probably top tier. I think the solar rocket sidearm is going to be up there too on the S tier, and maybe this heavy burst arc pulse rifle is going to be really good. But overall, pretty disappointed. I think the guns look amazing for the most part, but they just needed better perk pools. So that does it for my review. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comment section below. Once again, thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe. See you later.